Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thala Unbound here on the Bear Pen. My name is Adrian, and I'm the storyteller for this wonderful group of people that we have here today. Super excited to bring you episode 8, which the wonderful Wicked helped us name for no particular reasons whatsoever. And before we go ahead and jump in today, I just want to give out another announcement that tomorrow is Moon May here on the Bear Pen. We are having a charity streaming day, 3 TTRPGs starting at 1:40 p.m. Pacific time. That's US Pacific time. And we just have a wonderful lineup of 3 fantastic games. And y'all should come and check that out because during the streams, we have a milestone giveaway. When we hit a certain higher tier milestone, we have a fantastic dice vault to give away, which has been given to us by Wormwood Gaming specifically for the stream. Well, the stream's tomorrow, which is fantastic. And of course, in the third game of the day, which is a Dungeons and Dragons game, Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms has also given us a fantastic giveaway as well for that stream specifically. If we raise $50 during that stream, $50 during that stream, we will unlock a code for the game in chat, which will unlock 3 gold chests to help you advance your progression in the game, which is wonderful. But enough about the wonderfulness that is happening tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and we can have our players introduce themselves as well as the character that we'll be playing and plug anything that you would like to, really. And we're going to go, I guess, in reverse order today, I think, on my screen anyway. We'll start with the wonderful Ethan.
Hello, everyone. I am Ethan. You can find me everywhere at Ethan Dragons. Today, I'm going to be playing the Cleric Valentine.
Fantastic. Yes, I'm really looking forward to more of his wonderful stories. And then, of course, we have the amazing Nosferatu Wicked.
I'm Nosferatu Wicked, or just Nos for short. I am playing Miller, the fighter monk dumpster fire that just joined the group fairly recently. And as for any current projects, I don't really have any outside of this one, but there might be something in the future. I hope, I guess. And you can find me at Nosferatu TTRPG pretty much anywhere.
Indeed.
Mainly Twitter.
Indeed. I also am a mainly Twitter person. And of course, the wonderful Anne.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anne Pierce, and today I'll be playing Tuxel. She is a swamp druid with sort of permanent dragonfly wings. It's a thing. You can find me on all the socials at _Anne Pierce _. And I'm excited to see what happens today with our hag friends.
Indeed, indeed. And then next up is the amazing Di.
Hello, I'm Di. You can find me, again, mostly on Twitter, but everywhere at Diachromaniac. You can see me tomorrow playing D&D for the Bear Pen for the NYC Wolf Foundation, which is amazing. You can also see me on Reclamation on Cookout TTRPG, and I've got a couple more things in the works, so keep an eye out. And I'm playing Zashi, the monk that, while they may slap the health back into you, I don't know. I think mostly right now, they're kind of just want to punch some hags.
That's fair. You know, that's fair. And of course, if you have a look in chat there, you'll be able to find everyone's socials. And of course, the wonderful Dominic.
Hello, I'm Dominic. Am I unmuted? Yes, I am.
You are indeed.
Yeah, I'm playing Jock, a very fun guy. Satyr, yes, Satyr druid that hits things with sticks. Yeah, coming here from the wonderful bad internet of Cambodia, having to phone stream here today.
A phone stream is better than no stream, right? I mean, that's
It
the thing.
certainly is.
And of course, as I said, I'm Adrian Bear, and you can follow me on Twitter at the Adrian Bear, where these days I post a lot of wolf-related stuff because, well, they're cute as hell. And of course, you can find me as the storyteller for Blood in the Bayou, and you can find me as Jethro and Cloudpour on our reclamation campaign, which is on the Cookout TTRPGs. And yeah, stay tuned for some more wonderful things. And we're going to go ahead and just dive straight in here. We're going to go ahead and dive straight in. Our adventuring party, so they are, the Unifiers, had made their way to the sleepy fishing village of Ilin at the request of an elderly deep gnome who had made his way all the way to Moranzan from here. Apparently there had been a lot of trouble with young girls who had gone missing in the village progressively night by night, and no one had seemed to notice anything during these kidnappings, and honestly it was all very, very strange. And he had made the trek to Moranzan. Unfortunately, he had been unable to contact the very person he had been looking for due to, well, the events that had taken place during the Festival of Remembrance, and that there had been attackers throughout the city. So he had been a bit injured and had made his way to the Undercity to recuperate before he attempted to find some help. Through a chance meeting with the Unifiers that were in the Undercity at the moment, he ended up telling his story and relaying some legends about, well, hags that were supposedly in the area, and how people were thinking that this might actually be the cause of the missing girls. Upon arriving in the village of Ilin, our group had met up with two other different guild members, being Miller and Valentine. Miller being part of the Wayfinders, who had been sent out on a mission to find out what was taking place in the city of Itzamna, as they had been out of contact for a full week at that time that he had left, taking Valentine with him. They had been unable to gain access to the Umil Woods, which frankly is the only real way to get to Itzamna from Moranzan at any point in time. Upon trying to return to the city of Moranzan to deliver this news, they found themselves stopped over in Ilin. Our friends have spoken to some of the townsfolk and some of the girls that had miraculously been returned, and one of the hags that had been responsible slain, apparently by a resurrected ancient paladin by the name of Jalan Miran, who had once fought a great battle against some evil in this location. And we had ended last episode with a few of our Unifiers at the house of one of the young children by the name of Tanita, as her mother had seemed perturbed, unlike the rest of the parents who had had their daughters returned to them. And Tanita had just been sent back outside to play by her mother so that she could have a discussion with the people who had wanted to ask some questions. Valentine had cast a detect magic spell and had noticed that as Tanita left the house again, for a brief moment, she looked directly at him and then continued off outside. But we are going to pick up with Chuck and Tuxel and Huntmaster Zalas, as they had decided to begin heading towards these cliffs upon which apparently the girls had been taken to some house where the hags presumably resided. Tuxel and Chuck and Zalas, you are all heading out towards this, through the forest towards these cliffs. And this is around about 20 minutes from when the rest of the group had begun knocked on the door of Tanita's house. You are traveling through these woods, and unlike many of the other areas in on Thala, which are often filled with ruins of ancient pieces of cities or towns or such, the forest here seems to be mostly just forest. There are occasional pieces of leftover stonework, so you can tell that this area, probably due to just the proximity of the cliff and the way that the river winds past this area, was never majorly settled, mostly due to space. It is not too much of a journey to actually get to these cliffs. You'll probably be there within another 40 minutes or so. Would you all like to make either survival or perception check for me, please?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna be a little slower to the roll here.
All good.
You said what, survival or?
Or perception, your choice.
It's a 9.
Shashi, I believe you are at the house.
Oh, never mind.
Yes.
That's a 13.
Oh boy,
A 13. All right.
that's a natural 1 on the survival check.
All right. All right. So,
Starting the game off right.
Tuxel, this area it's not a swamp, but it is close to water, as are a lot of places on Thala anyway. But the dampness of the forest is comforting to you in that way of this is something I recognize, and you are noticing that for the most part the trees seem healthy and alive, and as you are beginning to get within, I would say, half an hour's walk from where the cliff is, you begin to notice that it's gotten like a lot quieter in terms of general forest ambiance. It's not completely dead, but you would expect to hear more birds, more insects, more of those sounds, but it's definitely way quieter than it should be. Not silent, but way quieter.
Chuck, do you hear that?
I imagine Chalk's probably got like a bit of a pep in his step. This whole thing about the legend, the paladin, all that stuff. It's got him a little more quick to the pace than he normally is. And I don't even know if he heard you ask.
I'll wait for a minute when he doesn't answer. If he doesn't answer, exactly.
What? Huh? What?
I would like to bend down and take a look at the growth. If I notice that the animals are not around, I want to take a look at the plants and see if they're still in good condition the closer we get.
All right. As you mentioned this, Huntmaster Salas, who, for those of you who might just be joining us for the first time, he is a wood elf, but he is essentially Gerald Aruria, basically. Same exact look, except for the pointy ears, and slightly more tanned. He says, I think I know what you're talking about, Tuxel. And it's quite quiet, isn't it? Well, so for your check there, I believe nature would be a good check for this.
It's another 13, lucky 13.
All right. I will actually give you advantage for this, as Huntmaster Zalas is assisting you.
Oh, well, that makes it a 24.
All
And whatever
right.
he's looking at, I'll get down on the ground and look at it real close next to him.
All right.
Real close.
So the trees themselves and the growth seems to be what you would expect. It is a healthy forest. It is a healthy stretch of forest. But as the two of you begin to sort of inspect some of the various trees, which in this area are more akin to like pines. It's more of a pine kind of forest. The thing that you notice is that there is almost a barrier of a sort, not a physical barrier, but it is within another 5-10 minutes of your scouting forward and having a look at the growth and seeing the patterns of the animals and trying to see, hey, we got baby. You notice that suddenly the oh gosh, words. When you get to the certain point, you notice a sort of a group of ants that are traveling on the ground from one tree to another, and one of these ants begins to walk a little bit to I'm just getting my bearings here, direction, towards the north as they are crossing sort of like west to east, and then sort of stops and does a weird thing with its head and moves back into line as if it doesn't want to go that way at all.
Well, I clearly want to talk to this ant.
Fair enough.
Clearly. Let's see. I don't know if the best way to do that is just become a dragonfly or to try and turn myself into an ant spell-wise.
I think a dragonfly might be a wee bit scary as they are carnivores.
I mean, okay, so I'm going to polymorph into an ant right in front of him.
All right. You polymorph into an ant, and the rest of the ants that are marching along, they keep marching in the direction, but one or two of them do sort of come a bit closer to you in more of what you would understand in your ant form as like a guarded sort of stance, because you are not part of their colony. And an ant's intelligence is limited. It is, there are limits to polymorph shape unless you use wild shape. Then you would be able to keep your more of your mental stats.
I see. I see. I've never done either. So,
In the
well, I said that
circum-
that's what I was gonna do, so I did it.
Okay.
Um,
So you have this general leftover of your intention before the polymorph spell, but the intention, but the intelligence is quite limited here. So, just keep that in mind
yeah.
as you're going to attempt to communicate.
I'm going to walk over to the ant that I saw go in the other direction and then come back and give that ant a quick sniff over its body to see if there's something different about it.
All right. So, first, I would like you to make a performance check using an ant's charisma.
It's another 13, you guys. It's the number of the evening.
All right. So your body movements and the sort of various chemicals and stuff that ants do release upon exchange do give off the impression to these sort of guard ants that you are not in an attacking mode, and they do they have that recognition that you're not a different species of ant, so it's not likely that you are going to be attacking them or any such. Now you can make an investigation check using the ant's intelligence modifier.
Okay.
Or
what would be-
perception, I guess.
You're not going to believe me.
Another 13. Lucky number 13. Here we go. All right. So, not different from in your ant brain, this ant.
So knowing that ants leave a scent trail when they make a trail,
Mm-hmm.
I'll backtrack and follow the trail that the wayward ant left before it came back and see if I can get any further or if I feel like I need to turn back.
All right. You begin following this, this sort of scent trail of the chemicals and such that they leave on the ground, and you begin to sort of reach that point. And what are we going to make this? Because you are, for all intents and purposes, an ant. It's more of a, there's no check required here, because this is more of an instinctual sort of animal thing. You start getting to that point and you just feel like that way is wrong. That feels like danger. That feels like not ants, like not forest. That feels wrong. And you get the same sort of like weird shivers on your little ant body, and you do turn around.
I'll go back to where I started and bamf back into myself.
As the lass has sort of posted up, leaning against a tree, waiting for you to do your thing.
It's so hard to be that small. So I think it is what we think it is. The ants know. I think the animals know that that's a dangerous way to go. They know. Almost like I'm still tasting it. They know it's not for them. They know they don't belong there.
Kind of corruption.
Does it taste like corruption?
The
What corruption?
sweet, sweet flavor of corruption.
That sweet, sweet flavor of
Sweet bitterness.
corruption. Tastes like black sambuca. um, I mean, you have that lingering feeling of you of corruption, I guess, is a good word for it.
Yeah, they know it's not for them. They know they don't belong there.
Mm. Well, let me take a minute and see what we might be dealing with. And Huntmaster Celeste sort of kneels down, puts his hand on the ground, and begins using primeval awareness, which will allow him to detect things within a certain radius. And after a minute of this, his eyes open up sort of wide, and he says, "Fuck." And we're going to cut back to the house for a moment at that point, as this is basically into this conversation point that is happening at the house. This is sort of like simultaneous feelings that are happening at the moment. So, Shashi and Miller and Valentine and Do that is here but not here, is you are in this very, very small cottage, which is, there are sort of 2 bedrooms, but there's like a kitchen, living room space. It's a very small, simple 1-floor house. And you have been offered something to drink, if you'd like, by the woman who has not given a name yet, but she has just asked her daughter to go outside. I imagine I have some water or some tea that I could give you if you'd give me a moment.
No, that's fine. We're here because we have some questions about your daughter.
It's not hidden. You notice quite plainly, all of you, that she looks towards the back door of the house that Tanita just left from. And
Miller goes to stand by the door, just kind of like posts up, just to be there. All right.
so her voice is cracking a bit as she says, what can I help you with?
Kind of look around to the other people in the room with me. Well, it seems like there's something going on, and you know more about it than obviously interrogating a child. So we just want to help, and hopefully you can tell us how.
The woman is, as I had mentioned before, she is, her clothes are not unkempt, or, she's made an effort and such to dress herself in decent clothing and such. The main thing that you can notice about her is that, she looks absolutely exhausted, and she begins to sort of wring her hands a little bit, bunching up a little bit of the dress that she is wearing. And you can tell that she is on the verge of tears here. A mother shouldn't talk poorly about her children,
But I sense a but.
Tanita was one of the first that disappeared. And when the children came back, I was overjoyed. But there's something in a bond when you've had a child and you know who they are. And I shouldn't be saying these things about my daughter, but she doesn't feel like Tanita, you know. She doesn't feel like my daughter.
Miller
And
kind
it's a
of lowers his
horrible thing.
gaze.
It's a horrible thing for me to say. I don't know if I am just in shock or still dealing with everything that happened, but she doesn't feel like my daughter.
This whole time, Miller has been playing with the rings, like running them along in his palm, kind of like between his fingers, just leaning against the wall next to the door.
Your honesty is valued and appreciated, and I like to think that your being forthcoming is going to save the lives of a lot of other people in the same situation.
I know it is difficult to talk about. I've been in the same situation myself. But we can't ignore we hear that you haven't been sleeping well.
I don't know if I've gotten a lick of sleep since she disappeared.
The other parents tell us that they rested peacefully last night, and you are still afflicted with this insomnia. We will get to the bottom of this. I promise you that much.
Please, I don't want to cause any distress to anybody else in the village. My mind could be playing tricks on me. Perhaps I just need a good rest. I don't know. And if it is my daughter, if she is Tanita, I don't want to put any of this on her for anything that might be a failing of my own.
Do not worry. We will approach this as we have, with tact and a lot of care. If it is Tanita, then hopefully by tomorrow the two of you will be sleeping well.
Thank you. Here. Wait just a moment. And she stands and makes her way to Tanita's bedroom. And she returns, because it's not a large house, she returns within moments with a small doll, and says, I don't know if something of hers is of help to you or not, but this is one of her favorites.
Valentine will reach forward and gently pick up the doll, like someone who has handled a lot of like children's toys before, like cups it in his hand and like holds the head up gently so that it doesn't flop over to the side. This will be a great help. Thank you.
can see Miller looking at the doll. As he's kind of like playing with the rings.
Shashi, Miller, and Valentine. At this point, would all of you make a perception check for me?
Just gonna throw it out there. I have a short sort of warning just in case.
Okay.
That would be a 10.
Okay.
That would be a
9.
14.
All right. So Miller, with your short sort of warning, it doesn't go off. You do not get the sense that there is an immediate danger on you, for you or your group. But as you are standing by the back door, you have a fairly decent view of the window that is to the front of the house, and you have noticed that off of the river, which is very easy to see within the distance, there appears to be a fair amount of fog that is starting to roll in.
Is that normal? Miller kind of nods in the direction of the fog.
The woman has a look and says, sometimes, not generally this time of day. When you live in a river, fog is something to be, something that happens, but not generally during this time of day.
And Miller turns to the group and says, "It's setting off my alarm system. My alarm." Kind of points at the sword. There is something off about this fog.
Perhaps we should
Catches the rings.
let's see what's happening then.
And as you finish your sentence, Miller, the sword actually does project a feeling of danger into your mind.
Oh no.
And you do see that the fog has started to rush into the entire village and is rapidly covering everything up.
He is already.
At this time, we transition back to Tuxel and Chalk with Huntmaster's Lass, who has just opened up his eyes and said, "Fuck." Well, there is bad news and there's bad news. Whatever is in that direction and whatever's back at the village is giving off very strong feelings of... the term for it would be a feeling of an aberration, something that is not correct, that does not belong in a world. I'm getting other feelings as well from the cliff, more of a fiendish or devilish nature. But something is incredibly wrong in this entire forest and in that village.
I mean, we knew that, sort of.
We thought we were dealing with hags.
You mean more fiendish than a hag?
Unfortunately, it's not that precise. But the feeling of aberrations could mean a number of things.
Do we see fog? Yeah.
Make a perception check for me.
do we move towards the cottage or back towards the city? You said you felt it in both places.
Yes. Another 13.
It's a 19. It was a 13 plus 6, which is a 19.
A 19. At this point, you do begin to notice that fog is even creeping into the forest.
Is it creeping in up from the direction of the cliff or through the forest towards us or towards the village?
It seems to be originating more from the direction towards the west where the river would be, and it is sort of sweeping into the forest and covering the village at this point, which you are not quite aware of. It's a bit of a distance back from where you are.
What had we made an agreement as to if we were gonna meet? Like, were they finishing up and then meeting us?
I believe it was a kill two birds with one stone type of bear. Going to go check out this cliff and seeing if this house could be found that the girls had reported, and while the others sort of questioned the mother of Tanita.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's just really a choice of do we continue on and hope that if there is if the source of this is ahead of us, that we'll snub it out.
We're within 20 minutes of the cliff. To get back to the village will take us, well, at a run we can probably make it in 25.
Oh man.
Well, as you say, fuck. Maybe the fog's not coming from the cliff, but maybe we could find something useful at the cliff.
Well, then I would suggest we hurry.
Yeah.
I lift up off the ground and poof in the direction.
All right, so the three of you begin at a much faster pace now, making your way towards the cliff, and we're going to transition back to the village for a moment. The fog has swept in and has covered the village. You can't necessarily see anything happening outside. You are still in the home of Tanita and her mother. But what is everyone's passive perception?
Perception.
13.
Mine is 17.
13.
Okay. Miller, your ears pick it out first, followed by Valentine and Shashi shortly thereafter. But you hear in the distance shouts or screams.
Fuck. And Miller actually goes, fuck. And he already has the Soras. Time to see if this is the project of yours is more than just dancing and spores. And he kind of heads towards the sound of the screaming, because Miller is Miller.
No time to waste.
No.
When you open the door of the home that you are in, the fog begins to spill in to the room and does cover everything up. Vision is very, very limited, and you rush out and you are trying to make your way towards the sound of where the screaming is. And everyone make a perception check for me again.
Okay.
Oh, it's a 9.
Where is
12.
perception? Here is
Mhm.
perception. That's a 25.
A 25. Your Wayfinder skills are coming in exceptionally handy now, as this is pretty much your job. You are running in the direction of where you heard the screams, and Shashi and Valentine, you are keeping close steps so that neither of you get separated in this fog and bump into anything. And you catch just out of the corner of your eye, Miller, maybe a couple of yards away, a bit of a shadowy movement. And it is far enough away from you that it's just out of the corner of your eye, but it seems to be heading towards perhaps some more houses. You're not really sure. You can't see because of all the fog, but you also hear a shout start in that direction.
Go in that shout direction.
All right. So the three of you begin making your way towards that direction where you hear the shouting happen, and you eventually come to a house very similar in style and size to that of the other cottage you had just found yourselves in, and the front door actually seems to be broken off of its hinges, and the back door is also open, and you, with the fog that is rolling in the house, you just catch sight of a figure that is on the ground that seems to be suddenly being pulled out the back door.
Intercept.
All right. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to ask the three of you to roll initiative for me.
Oh no. Oh yes, I have advantage on this one. Because the fucking
Because of the sword.
The sword goes bird. That's 16. And that's okay, 16.
All right.
12.
Okay.
Other number of the day, 9.
All right. Okay, let me just get the order here. All right. Miller, you are up first, and you begin rushing forward to try and grab or do something with this person that is on the ground. And we're just going to cut back for a second to Tuxel and Chalk. All right, Tuxel, Chalk, and Celeste, you have made your way to where the cliff is, and the fog has started to come in a lot heavier here. Visibility is not great, and when I say cliff, it's more like you are at the bottom of the wall of like a ravine, and just before the fog started rolling in, you would be able to judge that to get up there, you would have to probably head quite a ways towards the east if you want to find an easier sloped road up there, or there are other ways of things. And once you arrive there, Zalas says, well, that feeling of the aberrations is back at town, but very, very strong. There. And he's pointing down under this ravine side. The feelings that I'm feeling that are more fiendish in nature are up there.
Then up Shock?
Th- I mean, we're gonna have to go probably both ways eventually. So yeah, up's fine with me. And then it's a lot faster getting down when we need to come down.
I suppose. Right, well,
I can carry one of you.
Celeste kind of looks at you, Chuck, and looks at himself, and looks at Tuxel, and says, I imagine both he and I are roughly the same weight, so your choice, I imagine.
So we're trying to ascend this cliff, or this pretty rugged terrain.
Mm. If we're to head to the top, yes.
All right. Well, I probably have something here that would definitely make this very easy for me. I am also a druid sometimes. Shoot. Yeah, why not? What's typical? Just, I guess, wild shaping would probably be sufficing it.
This is sure.
Then, yeah. Would there be any? Sorry, I'm very unfamiliar with how that works. As far as, could I just like copy anything Tuxel does?
As long as you are familiar with the animal and it is it doesn't fall under the category of the higher level wild shapes, because there's a CR limit, then you're able to change into it. Yes.
So okay, let me. Would I have a flying form? I should know this, but I don't have all my stuff. And
there's a certain level of druid where you unlock flying animals. Tuxel, you're full druid, yes?
I'm a druid elf.
Yeah. I mean your class levels.
I'm not multi-classed. No.
Okay. So yeah. I believe at least by level 10 you should be able to get into there. But Chuck, you're kind of 5 and 5.
Yeah, that's I have a feeling I don't have that, so maybe this whole thing was a lie. I'll turn into a squirrel and hide in Zalas. Does he have a hat?
He does not have a hat, but you can definitely hold on to Zalas.
I could have ratatouille'd him.
Well, I guess this is the best we're going to do. Are you sure you can carry both of us?
Well, I've carried Chuck before, and like you said, you're roughly the same shape.
Well, mass, I guess. Well, up we go.
I put my arm out and pop out my hip and pop him on there and hold on.
He is heavy. And you're not. What's your strength score?
That's a great question. You ask great questions. Yeah. So, that's an 8.
An 8. All right.
So,
your flying speed is the same as your walking speed, but with his weight, you're going to be going at about quarter speed up this cliff, which it is a difficult climb. So if you had to climb, it would probably be also about quarter speed climbing. There's just going to be less checks because you're just trying to go straight up. And this section of the cliff face, the ravine face here, is quite high up. It is probably like 250 feet or so up. So you are beginning to fly Zalas and Squirrel Chuck up the old cliff. And we are going to jump back to the others. Miller.
Oh boy.
You are rushing forward, and you can see that there is a tiefling man that is busy being pulled out the back door, and you are now close enough to see that there is sort of a red, almost jelly-like tendril that is wrapped around this man's leg that is pulling him out. You do go first, and next up is Shashi. What would you like to do?
So, Miller would like to slash at this tentacle, and he's gonna spend a key point to make the attack magical, because that's a thing you can do apparently.
All right. So go ahead and make your attack roll there.
All right, that's here. Short of the warning. That is a 16.
A 16. I believe that hits. So
All right. I'm just gonna put
you
away my.
slash out with your short sword to try and sever a bit of the tentacle.
And I'm gonna use my extra attack to slash at it again.
All right. Fantastic.
Actually, do I have? Wait, I forgot to roll damage.
You can make both attacks and roll the damage after if you hit
Alright.
with both.
And that's a 17. So that hits as well.
Both of them hit.
All right, so that's 1. And that's 2. That would be 13 and 9 damage.
All right, so 22 points of damage. All right, you slash at this tentacle that has wrapped around this man's leg, and you cut clean through it. And at this point, throughout the village, you hear this loud sort of very invasion of the body snatchers scream that echoes out throughout the village. I would like all of you, please, to make me an intelligence saving throw.
Oh no.
You'll never believe it. It's a 9.
It's a 9.
Hey, I got an 18 this time.
Oh, by the way, question. Do I have to spend another key point on my extra attack to keep it magical?
I don't believe
I mean,
so.
I have a lot of
How
key points.
many levels in monk do you have?
I have. I'm dumb. I
Oh.
have 6 levels of monk.
Okay, so your unarmed attacks are already magical, but you are attacking with a short sword, yes?
Yeah, and
It is a magical weapon, so you do not need to actually spend those key points.
Oh, is that how it works? Okay,
Yes.
never mind then. Key point goes back.
That's a good question.
All right. So 9 for Valentine. Miller was also 9,
Yep.
and Shashi.
Let's see, 18.
18. Shashi, you are going to take half damage from this. Okay. Miller and Valentine, you suffer 19 points of psychic damage, 19, as this screech reverberates throughout the town, and you can feel it getting into your head, and it feels like your ears are about to pop. And
Okay.
you also find yourself currently stunned for 1 turn. Shashi, you take 10 points of psychic damage, but you are not stunned for this turn. But Miller, before we get to that point, did you want to do any extra attacks or anything like that before all this happened?
I don't think extra attacks were necessary. Like bonus action Flurry of Blows was unnecessary, I think. So
Okay.
I'm gonna do
All
that.
right. Very, very good. Very, very good. All right. So, both Valentine and Miller, you are stunned for until the start of your next turn, basically, and you are covering your ears. Shashi, you have managed to not be stunned, but the sound is still quite harrowing. What would you like to do as it is actually your turn?
I would like to try to gather everybody and get out, get away from this nonsense.
So currently you have Do, who is, I'm not rolling for him as he's not here, so we'll just say that Do's off to the side somewhere. But Miller and Valentine and this man who was being pulled out the door.
Yeah. All right. So Valentine is with me, and then Dube's getting pulled out the door, or someone else is getting pulled out the door. I'm sorry.
There was the presumed owner of this house, the tiefling man that was being pulled out the door.
Oh, well, I don't like that. I want to rush over and try to hit whatever's pulling the tiefling guy out the door. I don't like that.
All right, so the tentacle has been severed, but you do see the rest of it retreating sort of out the door and slithering out the door. So you can follow that tentacle and try and attack it, or make other actions, up to your choice.
No, I want to subdue the tentacle. I want to punch it and hopefully get to stop moving, and then inspect it if I can get it to stop.
Alrighty, so go ahead and make your attacks.
Oh, okay. So first one, that is a 13 plus 7 with an unarmed strike, so that's a 20 to hit.
It hits indeed.
All right. You're a bad d6. So that's a 7 damage.
Okay.
And then I would let me see if I how many do I have? Oh yeah. I'll definitely spend a key point to do a stunning strike.
All right. So you punch into. You're punching or kicking or.
Yeah, I am. So I'm approaching this tentacle, and my dragon mark goes into my hand, and it goes like across my knuckles, and I just punch the tentacle with a sort of slightly glowing light, and
You feel your energy radiate out of your fist as it makes impact with the creature, and you have definitely done some damage to it here, and you feel your key pulse into this tentacle and sort of reverberate through it, but it seems unfazed by the stun.
Okay.
So that was your first attack.
My first attack. Let's do the second one. You were a good one. Let's see. Ooh, no, not so good this time. 5 plus 7 is a 12.
All right. Reeling from the impact of Miller's strikes to it and your punch to it, the tentacle is retreating just a little bit too rapidly for you to get in your second strike. Would you like to attempt a Flurry of Blows?
Absolutely, I want to attempt a
All
flurry
right,
of
so
blows.
spend that key point.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
This time, that's a 9 plus 7 is a 16.
That hits.
All right. So let's do that, and then all right. That's a 6 plus 3. you this time. Oh, yes, that's a 6. So 9.
All right. You get 2 hits in your flurry of blows.
Yep. Let's do that same dice again because that was a friend. That's a 4, so that's a 7.
It does not hit, unfortunately. All right, so the you manage to get in another solid blow, and the tentacle begins to retreat a bit, and the man on the ground is saying, "Thank you, thank you. It just came out of nowhere. I don't understand what's happening," and you hear off in the distance that the number of shouts within the village are beginning to increase as some other things are taking place, and something is happening out of your sight right now. And we go back to Chuck and to Tuxel and to Huntmaster Zalas as you are slowly but surely making your way up this cliff. You are about halfway now. So Tuxel, I want you just to make me an athletics roll, please.
Blessing. Come on, let me roll. I'm pressing the button. There we go. 15.
15 is enough. You are able to complete shifting and adjusting Zalas's weight just a little bit, as you know, you can definitely feel like the butt of the handle of one of his crossbows sort of like digging into your back a little bit, and you adjust the weight, and there, you know, is heavy, but you can do it. And it takes you a while, but you do manage to finally get over the lip of the cliff, and you end up sitting down. And what I would like you to do when you're up here, all of you can make a perception check. Chuck, if you want to stay as Squirrel, you can stay as Squirrel. If you want to unmorph, you can do that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm on mute, right? Yeah, pretty much as soon as I'm within jumps distance of, you know, a safe perch, I jumped and shook out of that form. I do not know how you stay in those forms, Tuxel. They are so uncomfortable.
I just kind of stretch my wings, and I mean,
You said
wings.
perception?
Yes, please.
I've got a 24.
Dope.
Who needs wings when you got hooves?
What was the squirrel also mushroomy?
You got all of it's like full on Last of Us level
Nice.
infection.
You put on the Elden Ring gear. That's...
Yeah, exactly right. The mushroom set. Sorry, we're perception.
Perception.
Having a moment. I think it's perception is 2. Oh, so 17.
17. You have a plus 15 per perception?
No, I rolled the 15. 2 is.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm like, damn. Do you have more than Zalas? He has He has double proficiency in this shit. All right, excellent. So, all of you can see these things here. I will describe, and Tuxel and Zalas get a bit more than what Chuck gets. You can see that the fog has not covered, isn't rising up the mountain, but it is about to the thick level of forest. So you can see some of these different sort of pine trees and stuff, which are filled with this fog, and you can't see that much. You can, in the distance, make out where the village is. And the other thing that you notice on top of this this cliff here, ravine, cliff, I don't know. I'm trying to get like mountain terminology. It's not really a plateau, because then that would be, sheer on both sides, but whatever. The top of this mountain thingy that's sort of flat-ish, within a bit of distance, in an area that is pretty devoid of trees, but does have a fairly well-kept path going up to it. You actually notice that there is a hut of sorts within, let's say, about a 15-minute walk from where you are. Tuxel and Zalas, with your more keen elven eyes, you can make out that the hut is very, very interesting in that you can just make out that it appears to be resting on legs.
Yeah. Yep.
Giant chicken
Yep.
legs.
Yep. Yep. Is there a bone fence?
There is not a bone fence.
just
No,
checking.
there's not a bone fence, but giant chicken legs.
Yeah.
But aside from that, on the wind up here that is being carried, both of you, with that high perception check, can make out the distant sounds of screaming and otherworldly screaming coming from the direction of the village.
You said we can kind of see the village from here, or we can tell what direction it is.
You can tell what direction it is. You can see bits and pieces. Like what you can make out basically is, because the inn is the biggest building, you can make out the roof of the inn just on the distance. You can't quite see the river as it seems to be all covered in fog, but you can make out just the roof of like the, I'm using American measurements here, where ground floor is first floor, the third floor of the inn, where the roof would be.
I turn to my companions. You know whose house this is.
I think we can guess.
I have never. Have I noticed the chicken legs?
Not with your perception check.
Okay. No, whose house? You guys know this house?
I've never been here, and I've never met her, but I'm assuming, and I look over to as with confirmation, it's the Baba Yaga.
Well, if it's that particular hag, then we are fucked. But they are known, many of them are known to keep such houses, so...
But do I understand? Like, I remember the stories of these creatures. They're not malevolent or benevolent. They just are. Or is that not true?
From the information we managed to gather, it seemed that we are dealing with night hags and what we had seen of the body. And more often than not, they tend towards the more malevolent side of things.
Okay. Well, if it is what we think it is, it knows we're here.
And we are going to cut back to the village. All right.
We're so screwed.
So, Miller,
Never split the party.
it is the start of your turn, and you have now come out of your stun.
Probably see like a trickle, like from the eye, just. And Sachi might be a little freaked out, but Miller is smiling. He's grinning in ear to ear, and he's heading towards the direction of the more screaming.
All right. So you begin to head in the direction of where more screams are coming from the village itself. And as you step into the fog, some of the distant shapes and movements that you see through the fog, occasionally there seem to be like, what's that Wilhelm scream kind of screams that are coming as someone is like flung through the fog, and you can hear the sound of buildings being kind of trashed, and again, not a super large village. You have your movement and, you know, elf and monk, so you've got good movement speed here. Honestly, pick a direction, you'll hear screaming.
I mean, if we're are the if the buildings are actively coming down around us, I think Zashi would try to get any civilians and out of the way, out of any falling awnings and stuff like that, and into a more open area in the street or somewhere with more protection.
Sure, you can definitely do that when we come back around to your turn as well, for sure. But Miller, you're running towards a section of the town where you were hearing some screams, which is not too far away where the statue of Jalanmir and the paladin is, and you can just barely make out the shape in the fog. And you're also not too far from where the inn is, and some of the screams seem to be coming from just sort of like, not necessarily an alleyway because there's more space than alleyway because it's a village. They space things out because there's not so many of them, but kind of an alleyway between where this inn is and where another house would be. And you make a perception check for me because I want to see how much you see. You've got a high passive perception, but let's just see how much you see because it is foggy.
Oh, it's foggy.
So visibility is reduced.
That's only a 9.
Okay, you can't quite make out shapes and such, but you can hear sort of in this alley direction, you can hear almost like, I wouldn't say earth grinding sounds as well, coming from that direction.
Earth grinding sounds, you say?
Yeah, as if because I mean you're close enough that you can hear it, but because of the fog it's difficult to see. All right, you start coming into view here, and you can see now that there are that you've come this close. There are 3 large tentacles, this kind of red jelly color that seems to be pulling 3 people towards it. And you still can't quite see exactly what it's pulling towards, but it is pulling towards it.
Would disarming be counting as letting go of the people?
I would count it yes. I would say
All right.
yes.
Let's do this. I'm gonna expend one of my superiority die to do a disarming attack on these tentacles.
Okay.
Or at least one of them.
All right. So you pick the tentacle closest to you. It is actually holding the body of the father, the Minotaur that you had met, Beston. And I say, well, the body, not the corpse body, but the personage.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Disarming attack. All right. I am throwing my weapon attack first, and then you have to do a DC 17 strength saving throw. Where is my attacks?
I don't believe it makes it. It does not make it. It is going to drop as he is partly in the air,
Does
being
18
pulled
hit?
towards. Yes, 18 does indeed hit.
And I'm gonna do an extra attack on it just out of spite. First damage is 12,
12.
and hold on. And no, the second damage. Okay. And that's a natural 20, 29.
Very nice. All right.
All right.
So your choice. You can double the damage or double the dice, and then just add your attack bonus afterwards.
Double the damage. Does those beyond double it automatically?
No. So just roll the damage dice, just without the attack, and then whatever that result is times 2, and then plus
Oh, it
your
does.
bonus.
It does count the crit. I did it 12.
Ah, all right. So 12 points damage.
Yeah, on the critical.
Okay. All right. There is a squelching as this tentacle is sliced through, and Beston is dropped to the ground, sort of kind of in front of you, and he begins sort of scrambling to get himself up. Anything else you would like to do?
Bonus action.
You do.
Flurry of Blows.
All
And
right.
if I hit, I'm gonna tell you what he does.
Sure.
Okay, where is my? Okay, that's 1 key point gone, and that's 2 attacks, right?
Indeed it is.
Okay. Okay, 1. That's a 20 to hit, dirty,
Mhm.
20,
Hits.
and the second one is that doesn't hit. That's only a 12.
12 does not hit. All right. So go ahead and roll the damage.
That is 10 damage. He's gonna try to grab the arrow tentacle and just rip it.
All right. So you said you're grabbing on the tentacle and you're trying to rip it. All right. You grab onto this tentacle with all your might, and you begin to just tear it in twain as it is holding another person in it. This is one of the other tentacles, we're going to say. And as this person falls and the tentacle sort of drops, it drops the other person that it was holding, and you hear another loud screeching noise echo throughout the village. Make another intelligence saving throw, everybody. Valentine, make it as well.
Ooh, that's a natural 1.
Okay.
6.
Okay.
10.
Okay.
Miller is not smart.
All of you take the full damage, which didn't roll that much, 12 psychic damage, and
Still
you
standing.
are all stunned again. And Miller, you can see now as you can't move, but you can see in sort of your stunned state that these tentacles are withdrawing back, and you can hear this rumbling under the ground as something is moving away from you. And the shouts and such have stopped. All of you gather yourselves for a moment and shake off the stun. You are now effectively out of combat, but your quarry seems to have escaped and moved away from you.
Is there still fog?
There is still fog, and Shashi, you are able to help some people out and to do a wee bit of healing on them if you would like, or to say that, or some medicine checks. And we are going to jump back to Chuck, Tuxel, and Zalas on top of the cliff.
there any movement in the hut?
With your perception check that you had made before, none that you can see. But you hear shortly afterwards a secondary horrific scream. This time, Chuck, you hear it as well. And Zelas does look to both of you and says, "What the fuck was that?"
Would I guess would can I roll to see if I know? What would I roll?
Gosh, we're gonna make it history.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you disadvantage.
Dope. Yeah, not a great chance this works. So let's see. Where's my other dice? We'll do it both at the same time. Oh no, that's a natural one. So I don't even have to look at the other one.
None of you, Zelas, Tuxel, or Chuck, have ever heard a sound like this ever in your lives.
I don't know. I think we got to make some choices here. We're gonna make them fast. Sounds like things are coming to a close. Should we approach the devil we know? See what's going on with this hut while we're.
It doesn't appear that anyone's home. I suppose if whatever was supposed to be in here is down there, this is our one chance.
I don't like this. There are 3 of us. And the rest of the folks that we are traveling with are separated from us. The hut isn't moving. It's there. I'll follow your lead on this if you like, but my vote is we collect the others and see what the fuck that sound was.
Is our pathway down? This is not me. Is the pathway down? As far as we know, to be back down that cliff, or are we?
That would be the fastest route, because
Right.
otherwise you have to travel a fair distance down the cliff and then all the way back around to the village.
Gotcha.
Before we make the decision, I want to look at the ground and see if there are any chicken footprints, if I think this house is moving or if I think this house is planted itself.
Okay, make a survival check.
Sorry, they're slow. So 14.
A 14. In the area that you are looking around, you do find some footprints, but these are they're indented and there's already grass growing up through them, so you can judge that this was quite some time ago.
All right, it looks like it's not going anywhere, so we can bring the others back. Let's go.
All right. A ruckus in the village, some creepy fog and red tentacles, and our other group beginning to make their way back towards the village. Let's pick up in the village. So, Shashi and Miller and Valentine, your stun had passed, and I know, Shashi, you are looking to help some people get back on their feet and such. How about Miller and Valentine? What are your current objectives?
Miller is still a bit rattled, probably covered in the whatever the tentacly juices are. Is gonna probably pick up a piece of it. Probably the one that looks the most like a tentacle, and he's gonna just shove it into his satchel, and he's gonna go help some people while looking like a bit of a weirdo covered in muck.
Can you make a dexterity saving throw for me, please, Miller?
Oh no. I mean, oh yes. That is an 18.
An 18, that's very good. All right, so you go to pick up the one of the pieces of tentacle that have fallen down, and just a question: does Miller wear gloves of any sort?
I mean, he should. I assume so. The only thing he has on his sheet is that he wears his bracers of defense, which are flavored like a sort of a, I don't know, the medieval equivalent of fighter's tape, and his commander's clothing. So I assume he, like, the fighter's tape probably functions like a glove.
Yes, yes. You can feel that these items are, of course, magical and enchanted and such, but the bits that do seep through onto your hands, onto the exposed bit of fingers that you have, you can feel that it starts burning, but very quickly you drop the tentacle and you do not take any acid damage.
Acidy. Do I have wrong somewhere? I don't think so.
I mean, you could conceivably find a way that is with the things inside your pack. Maybe you could stab 2 arrows in it and try and gently shove it into a piece of cloth or something.
Yeah, he's gonna pull out one of his bolts, and he's just gonna be like, and try to put it somewhere.
Okay. You do manage to stab this piece of tentacle, and you can tell that it does not appear to be melting the metal at all of the bolt. Something that you can see that it is, as it is in your hand, it is rapidly dissolving.
Oh no.
The tentacle, not the bolt.
Oh no, that's worse. Yeah, he's gonna be like, oh fuck, and he's gonna throw it to the ground. It's like, there is no way it's gonna last long enough to, and he's gonna go help some people.
All right. Valentine?
I think Valentine's just going to probably still having a bit of a migraine from the psychic damage that's taken a decent chunk of his health out. Is just going to sit down and try to catch their breath and just rest and cast some spells to take care of themselves, I think.
All right. I did not double check this with you in our Discord beforehand, but that is my fault entirely. Valentine's pronouns, he, they?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm following correctly. Good. All right. So Valentine, you begin to cast some spells, and Miller and Shachi, you are trying to walk around and try and help some people, and you help some people that have been, thrown into the side of walls, and you get back to the form of Beston, the large minotaur, and he is sitting on the ground, and he has a dumbstruck look on his face. And it is confusion and sadness that you are seeing on his face. Oh.
Does he look hurt or injured in any way?
He does. It does look as if he is hurt. He has a few burns on him, which look to be acid-like. And he, you can tell that he's suffered some damage.
I would like to use my hand of healing on him, which is essentially a flurry of blows, but for healing instead.
Yeah. You can do that. How much healing does our Minodad, Dadator? What would you call him?
I like
Dadator.
Dad.
Dadator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's just a nice, happy, dad, a little bit portly, happy man, generally speaking, but not right now.
Yeah. So that would be, so that's 4 plus 3 is 7, plus another 6. 7 plus 6 is 13. So
Hey, it's the magic numbers back.
Yeah.
Describe to us what that looks like, Shashi.
So Sashi walks up to him and the palms of their hands glow as they put one hand on either shoulder, and they kind of have to stretch a bit since he's so big and they're so small, being a gnome and him being a minotaur.
Mm-hmm.
But they stretch, and that glowing light goes to both their shoulders, his shoulders, and sort of seeps down across down his arms, across his chest, across his back, as they say, "It's over for now. Can you tell us what happened?"
Oh, thank you. You're the people from earlier. I don't understand it. I noticed that my daughter had sort of split off from me for some reason, and she wouldn't respond. And I saw her gathering near the statue with the rest of the girls that were taken. And you can tell he's having a really hard time putting his mind around describing the next parts. It was like they turned into red jelly and
You're
moved into the ground.
the girls turned into the jelly?
He is shell-shocked and staring off at the distance after just saying that. And he is not responding to you.
Might want to give him a moment.
This is beyond anything that I've studied or that heard about even being possible. We in the knowers, we study things of the medical possibilities of different bodies and what can be done through practice and science and meditation, but this is something
So as Sachi speaks, Miller actually has a similar expression to Minotaur Dad. Not fully shell-shocked, but he's like, obviously there is a lot going on inside his head.
Mm. Valentine, what spells are you casting?
Just Death Ward, and going to use my Healing Hands feature on myself.
Just a casual death ward. Just casual.
Casual Death Ward.
Nothing too serious.
Yeah,
You're not
I
too
think-
far away from the others. You can see that they are talking to Basin, mildly within hearing distance.
Once they've patched up so their hands sort of glow in this sort of golden light as they sort of rub their temples, patch themselves up a little bit. The headache is less worse. Stand up and dust off their hands, make their way over. Consider it, their face, I should say, their smile hasn't like dropped the whole time. They, even while suffering these terrible compulsions and such, their smile still stays through all of this. And they say, without even looking at Dadator, consider this a chance for scientific study then.
You see Miller, like his eyes like snap in Valentine's direction, and there is just daggers.
Shashi and Miller and Valentine, you have spent some time helping people, getting people to their feet and such. I will point out that the fog is starting to lessen. Visibility is becoming a bit clearer. All of you can make a perception check. Chuck and Tuxel and Zalas. As speedy as possible, you had begun making your way back to the village. And you have judged that, or you can see that that thick fog has started to abate somewhat. So there's better visibility, but it is still foggy. And when you approach the village, you can hear that there are, what would I say, sounds of people that have, sustained injuries. So like some groans, there's no intense screaming anymore. Yeah, no intense screaming anymore, but you are able to make your way back into the village. And eventually you do come across Miller and Valentine and Shashi. So, Miller, you say your perception check was 21? And Valentine and Shashi?
18 for me.
All right.
You'll never guess, but it's a 9.
It's your favorite number today. 9s and 13s all around. All right. So, Valentine, you are more paying attention to some of your other surroundings, and you pick up walking into the area that's closer to you, Chuck and Tuxel and Huntmaster Zalas. Miller and Shashi, as you were not too far off from wherever Beston was being dragged to, with the clearing of the fog, you can actually see that there is indeed a hole in the ground that looks as if whatever was masquerading to be these girls had been in, and a lot of it is now sort of caved in with dirt and rubble, etc. But it has left a dent, fair-sized.
Son of a bitch.
Just to be clear, the girls are gone, right?
According to what Beston had said, they had turned into red jelly and moved underground, and then the attacks had started happening.
Is this burrow in the ground, is it like completely caved in, or is it something that could be, is it big enough that we could enter it, or is it too small?
It's not big enough that you could enter it right now because it had like caved in. But if you would like to investigate it a bit more, you can do an investigation check if you like.
Yeah, I do. Absolutely.
Miller, you are there as well if you want to assist Shashi.
I zoned out for a second.
An investigation check. Would you like to
Ooh.
assist Shashi? Then she can roll with advantage.
I would like to assist.
Or you can roll separately if you choose.
I'm gonna assist.
Okay. So Shashi, you do have advantage on that.
Well, my first one was a 15, which makes it an 18, which is good because my second one was a 3. So I'm gonna stick with that 18.
18. So you have to work a bit gingerly around some of the rubble, as there are still traces of this acidic substance on there. And you do eventually dig through enough to find, gosh, a very small hole that seems to travel underground. And I say very small. This is like, what would that be? Like 5 centimeters diameter, so just under 2 inches. Very thin.
Yeah. I extricate myself back out of however far I got before it completely closed off to me and report back to the group. It's too small for us to enter. If we want to try and figure out what was living down there or where they've gone, we need to find another way or get very good at digging.
We only heard the screams of whatever the fuck that thing was. What happened here?
Miller gives a very vivid description of what happened.
So Chalk and Tuxel and Zalas are all caught up.
And you're saying these things went underground?
Seems the most reasonable explanation.
So all the girls
go ahead.
became one thing?
I don't know if they were ever really the girls to begin with. I mean, obviously before they disappeared, but after, I don't know.
Well, Zalaf, you sensed something of dubious origins down beneath us, right?
Yes. Here at the village and under that cliffside, deep down. Aberration of some sort. We had also found the hut of what I assume was the hags.
Was?
We haven't inspected it yet.
It didn't look like anybody was home, but
One of them is dead, the other ones are gone, and now we have a weird shapeless tentacle monster terrorizing the village.
The hut may be worth investigating.
Or the ravine. Maybe both.
when you said that there were tentacles, were they aquatic like? Did they have suckers? Were they like a sea creature?
No, but they burn to the touch, or at least they burn on the skin, not on the metal. And it fell apart before I got to take a sample. So whatever it is, it can only keep together when it's attached. Once something's separated, it will just fall apart.
What time is it? Is it
It is all in all of this, let's say in total, you've been in the village around about 4 hours. So you had arrived at the equivalent of 10 in the morning. So, it is almost midday here. Is
Still
1300 hours.
Okay. If we're
Yeah,
gonna look at the
question.
hut, we shouldn't do it at night.
Agreed.
Maybe we should,
So-
see off the hags if they come back.
Yes, Shashi, DM's question.
Yes. So the tentacles,
Mhm.
the question about whether or not they were aquatic seeming, like with suckers on them and stuff like that, because of the knowers, would I have any sort of experience with tentacles that maybe were of a more eldritch origin? And would I be able to tell that?
Make a medicine check for me.
I get a plus. Oh, snap! That's a 17 plus 7, so that's a 24.
Zalas has mentioned aberrations that he felt the feeling of. The only thing that would match your understanding here, although this seems very different, would be oozes of some sort.
Okay. Yeah, because this was Tuxel's question. I don't know if they were aquatic, but they were. They're definitely organic, but not necessarily naturally occurring. They're oozy. I don't know if that helps at all. Does anyone have experience with oozes?
Oh, that would explain the feeling of aberrations, but I don't know of any oozes that do this.
Seems custom made. Maybe the hags or the devil they mentioned, but something tells me that may have been all bullshit.
It's making some assumptions here, but we all interacted with those little girls, and though it seems like we all kind of sussed out that something was a little amiss, it didn't seem that amiss. It didn't seem aberrant ooze amiss. I wonder. Now we don't. Oh, there's so many. Now I feel like none of the information we've gathered we can really rely upon. At least as far as the what was it, Paladin something Jiren.
Jalan Mirren.
Jalen Mirren, thank you.
That may have been bullshit as well.
Yeah, what if this ooze obviously seems to have some ability to replicate or mimic.
So our datatar said that they had gathered by the statue. I find that suspicious, so I'm going to examine and investigate the statue and the ground around it.
All right. You can go ahead and make a investigation check.
My dice is frozen.
Frozen dice.
That's a 21.
A 21. You investigate quite thoroughly around the ground area of where this statue is, and you eventually do find that there are some spots close to where the statue is, which looks as if some earth had slightly caved in, slight depressions. And you would judge that this is where the parts of the creature had moved underground once it had shifted form from that of the girls. But
And
other
they're
than
the
that,
same number of holes as girls.
yes.
Take a look at this, you guys. And I point them out. What do you think?
Weird.
And with that high check as well, you do, there are remnants of residue that you find, which are acidic as well.
But no clothes?
No clothes.
Hmm.
What are the chances this is some advanced mimic?
Whatever it is, it's able to both have the qualities of an ooze and appear to be mostly normal children. Doesn't sound like any mimics I've ever heard of, but who knows what these hags are capable of.
I don't think it was the hacks. And if Miller pulls out those rings again, I think whoever gave them those rings might be responsible.
Wow.
'Cause it's
Oh.
infernal and holds it up.
We have those clues, and we have the hut to examine. Other than that, I don't fancy my chances digging for hours to try and find a hole.
There is still something that bothers me. How is it, out of all the parents, only one of them was able to tell something was off?
I'm not the psychologist here, Shashi.
Don't know. Psychology isn't necessarily my forte either, but anyone who could tell something was off, either very attuned to their children or trained in magic or something else like that.
Well, we have a hag hat to ransack, so might as well.
Agreed.
Do I remember correctly, or did the hags want the children so they could regenerate or make new hags or something along those lines? What was it that the old man said at the university?
I think we thought that they were taking the children to make new hags, because that's the only way hags reproduce, is by seeding the children. But this whole ooze thing just threw that theory for a loop.
No, that doesn't make any sense. So then why would they do that?
Infiltration. Because if you noticed, the tentacles were dragging off the people somewhere. Oh my god, we might need to do a head count.
Mm. Are hags known for? I mean, is there some reason that obviously the hags were in some way, shape, or involved unless they were also recreated for the goals of this thing? Is it not possible that if you have hags around and they're doing dark rituals, is it? You said it was infernal. A deal having been made, some sort of, I don't know. I'm not as familiar with aberrant creatures as I maybe should be.
Infernal are more my forte, but yeah. Miller actually goes out of his way. I need the villagers to do a head count. Anyone who's missing or otherwise.
It's a really good idea.
In the state of disarray and shock that a number of people are in at the moment, it takes a while, but takes you about 2 hours in total to round people up, to have people check in their neighbors, and to see if they can remember who all may or may not be missing. And it is the innkeeper, Alka, who eventually gets all the numbers together for you and says, well, thankfully, it seems your quick action managed to stop anyone being taken away. Aside from injuries and property damage, and obviously those poor families. No one who we expect to not be here is not here.
Something tells me this was supposed to be a mass kidnapping and they didn't expect us to intervene. They might need the bodies for something. And if we stop them, either they're recuperating and they're gonna try again, or they're gonna give up. Which one is more likely?
They'll be back.
Either way, the girls are still missing. And if there's a chance at all to turn them back, or if the girls are still trapped somewhere and we can save them, it's worth exploring.
Hey, you guys want to see a creepy hut?
Agreed.
It's this way.
Leaving the villagers to sort of tend to their wounds and deal with whatever the hell it is that's just happened to them here, you will begin making your way towards the ravine side. At this point, the fog has pretty much completely cleared up. You managed to arrive at one of the same points that you had ascended and descended from in the beginning. Is your intention to try go straight up, or would you like to look for something else first?
Did straight up kind of take us right like to the? You said there was like a well-tended path. So if we go straight up, and then are we sort of facing the front door?
It was a couple of hundred feet away from where you were on the lip, but it's almost a straight shot.
So if we go up this way, it's pretty much, hi, we're here. We could go around and try and sneak around. It's up to you guys.
We might. Do you think there's still a possibility these girls are alive?
I hope so.
With that considered, I guess maybe, you know, how noticed we are could maybe affect, you know, how their livelihood. Maybe stealth is the best option.
And yeah, Miller is gonna go stealth if he can.
We also need to consider. Would I guess is do we have a general feeling? I would be very, very concerned about the fact that we had sensed that aberrant presence, you know, deeper beneath this area. Are we aware? Did they know what direction the tentacles are headed?
Mm,
Is that something?
not necessarily, no.
Okay.
I agree. Stealthing seems to be the best option. There's little downside.
Are we looking for a slightly like the more roundabout, the more scenic route?
All right. Well, let's get moving then, shall we? Have to double check this. I think it lasts 8 hours. Boop, 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 boop. So if I understand this correctly, you're wanting to take the long path.
Sounds the most stealthy of the options. When I get what I was understanding.
Okay. Okay, that lasts 1 hour. All right. Okay. So, all of you can roll a stealth check for me first.
Oh, dirty 20.
For the first leg
I
of
rolled an
this
8.
journey. Okay.
Goof.
To 10.
13.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. 23, not 13.
Okay.
14.
All right. Well, this last got a 21 for his. You will begin making your way more towards the eastern side of this cliff face ravine type thing, and eventually you do see that the actual slope does change to where it's a much shorter little climb to get up. As far as you can tell, nothing seems to have stopped you or attacked you. But when you are close-ish to the top of the climb of where you're going to be heading up from the other side, Miller, your passive perception is 17, right?
Yep.
Is there anybody around about the same or higher? Okay. So Miller, you do feel, Josh, Tuxel, you would feel this as well. Tuxel and Miller, you do feel that there is a bit of like an earth rumble, like very light, imperceptible tremor, almost imperceptible tremor.
As soon as I feel it, my feet come off the ground just a little bit because I don't want to feel it. Everybody stop. Did anybody else feel that?
Yeah.
Something's moving under us.
Well, I have some ideas, but I don't like any of them.
Let's hope it's the sentient jello.
One can only hope.
Could be.
Everyone take a moment here and make an active perception check for me.
Perception.
14.
12.
21.
15.
All right.
9.
Oh no. Ethan, what's going on?
D&D Beyond is cursed.
I stand, yeah. All right, so it's once again Tuxel and Miller. Once everyone has stopped and just attempted to perhaps get ready in case anything happens, you wait for a moment. 5 minutes. Maybe around 10 minutes, you do notice another rumble, but this is even fainter, as if it is moving much further down, but away from you all.
So it
Down
goes
and
down,
away.
not away, or down and away?
Down and away.
Down and away. Towards the village?
No. Towards the, like, deep under this cliffside mountain.
It feels like it's going deeper. It's going further. I think we're okay.
No, unless. Well, who knows what's buried under the ground?
Many, many things. Many, many things.
Do you know what they may be seeking?
I have absolutely no idea. But this planet is exceptionally old. Who knows what is
Mining.
buried here?
What if they're mining?
If they're under a mountain, that could well be the case.
There's something that was built that they're trying to find.
Hmm. I would estimate we have around an hour or so to head to the hut. We can go as quietly as we can. I can do something to keep us a little bit safer. And Zalas goes ahead and casts Pass Without a Trace on everyone. So you can roll another stealth check and add +10 to your result.
So
18.
19.
24.
16.
And Zalas got 35. So you're all very quiet. What was yours there, Valentine? This,
13, so
Yeah.
+10, 23.
yeah, it's
You did not roll another 13.
an excellent group pass for sure. The road up this mountainside, at least here, there are still some scattered trees and such, but it's very obvious to Tuxel that animals, even insects, don't want to come up here. Birds gets very quiet. At a certain point, the trees themselves also sort of stop growing closer to where this hut is. And there, eventually, you find this very inviting cobblestone road that looks as if it will travel all the way to the hut. But it's pretty barren up here aside from grass. So you do have the advantage of Pass Without a Trace, but in theory, there's no real place to hide. It's just you're quiet and you are obscured magically by the spell. And you have around 6 hours till sunset, so you have daylight time, so you're right there.
Is this pathway suspiciously inviting? Or just.
I'm not even going to make you roll for it. Yes, it is a suspiciously inviting
Okay.
cobblestone path. It's quaint. It's charming. It's
hate
it's
it.
just so inviting.
Yeah. It's way
I'm
too
just like,
Pinterest for
I
me.
hate it.
Maybe we don't take the welcome mat's it's I'm gonna say probably a trap. Maybe.
Oh. I rolled for what I was about to do, and I'm sorry, guys. I rolled low. I heel click my hooves and start cloppity clopping.
Oh no.
All right. I believe
the
you
check
have
for it.
advantage on saves against charm. I
Oh,
I do.
believe. All right. But you can roll me a wisdom saving throw
Oh no.
Oh.
with advantage.
Oh, my wisdom isn't my favorite stat, to be honest with you.
No.
Oh.
Now here's the funny with Miller.
I got a 20.
You step onto this path, and you do feel like once your hooves touch it, there's like the tinglies that move through your body, and for a moment seem to want to really make you skip merrily along this path directly to the house, but you shake it off, and you're fine.
This reminds me of that wine. What was that wine we had with that? Was it a Lamer? I can't remember the name now. Of the type of
Yes.
creature.
Yes.
Mary or something?
Oh gosh, I can't remember what she's called now as well. I think it's Lemuria, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm 2 for 2 on those.
Doc, are
Indeed.
you all right?
Oh yeah, no, it's kind of what I wanted to do anyways. You know, I think I was so engaged in it, it didn't really have much of an effect.
Miller just like reaches
We
up and
probably
just
shouldn't just
yanks.
walk in. Probably shouldn't just walk in the front door, I'm guessing. That's kind of what I wanted to do.
It would be dramatic, but not. the
Let's
most-
just ruin their lawn.
All right. Stealthily, you all begin making your way not on the path. You go towards one of the sides and try sort of a longer circle around where you can eventually see the hut in the distance, and kind of sticking low to the ground at certain points. You know, Skyrim style stealthing, maybe. But you know, the hut is within sight, and from this angle, you can see it is a hut. You can all plainly see the giant chicken legs from here. Occasionally, you can see that the legs do have that what will I call twitch of life to them. So you know, it's like the body moves involuntarily through breathing, but the hut isn't breathing. But there's, you know, you can tell that, okay, those chicken legs are alive. But at this distance, you can make another perception check for me, everyone.
10.
18.
10.
Perception. I can't see perception. I'm blind.
No, it wasn't.
It's a 17.
Okay.
23.
All right.
the whole
Okay.
monk bullshit.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, with those perception checks, what you notice is that the windows on the hut are not covered by curtains or anything like that. So you could theoretically see in. Like, you can see in, but you can't see in. It's strange. It's as if you're looking in and you're like, I should definitely be able to see the inside. It's not opaque, it's not blocked, but I can't really see the inside. And you notice, as Tuxel had noticed earlier, old like impressions of when the hut first moved here, which have grass sort of grown in around them. And there is a back door. There is the front door, which the cobblestone path leads right up to. And there's even a little shingle that is hung up in front that says welcome. But the back door seems empty. And what else do you notice? Tuxel and Valentine. Tuxel, you particularly, and this is a grower thing, there's a feeling here in the air almost. It's kind of like this is a point that is the start of a melody that is discordant. A melody that doesn't resonate with the harmony of Thala. Valentine, there is a feeling in you that is odd. It's a slight feeling of recognition of something of the aura of this place. And also a feeling for the sense of the alignment of the place, in a sense. Being one of the bringers, you're attuned to those shifts in vibration of law and chaos and those types of things. There is a strong feeling of like rigid lawfulness, and also a strong feeling of just evil. But there's no movement. The house is quiet.
How high is the hut off the ground? How tall are the feet?
So it's as if a chicken has sat down.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah. So it is not lifted off the ground. There are
Okay.
still like some steps or whatnot to get up to the back entrance, like a little back porch and a little front porch, etc. But it is not high off the ground. This particular hut seems to have, I say hut because that's what it looks like. But maybe, it's maybe two stories.
The chimney?
Yeah, there's a chimney.
See Tuxel just lift off the ground a little bit and is looking real hard at that chimney. Real hard at that chimney. Mm. Mm. I don't say anything. I'm just looking at it real hard.
Tread lightly here. There's an interesting feeling about the place.
It doesn't belong here.
Interesting. It feels like, in a way, it does. Like there's a sense of order about it.
But it's half a note off. It's a half a beat off. It's not quite where it's supposed to be.
Perhaps we should knock.
Spent all this time trying to sneak up, and now we just announce ourselves by knocking.
Well, perhaps I can knock, and the rest of you can find your way in.
I'm amenable to that.
Send you in by yourself? It's a little scary.
I've been in more dangerous situations before. Unless you want to try and sneak in further, but I don't like my chances of going down a chimney and this being stealthful.
Clank, clank, clank.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
what
go down
kind
the
of roof is
chimney.
it?
What kind of roof is it? It's very charming. It
Oh,
is
I'm sure.
like tiled shingles, you know?
Ah,
I can take the chimney if you want.
I was just looking at the roof. I was wondering if it was thatch or something I could crawl into, but it's a pretty secure, tidy little house, isn't it?
That is one of the things that does catch all of you, is that the presentation is very clean, very tidy, very charming, you know?
Doesn't
As in-
strike me very night haggy.
As an alternative, perhaps if you do wish to enter through somehow, you could have a signal of some kind if there is trouble.
I'll just scream like they're murdering me, which they probably will be.
I think that's a good sign.
I mean, it's pretty hard to mistake, I guess. Yeah.
Some
Remind
people say I
me
scream like a girl.
when we get back to Moranson to get you both communicators.
That's right. We have communicators.
Yeah, I do have this one here. Is this... Will this suffice?
Right.
If Valentine wants to go in the front door, maybe one of us gives him one of ours, and then if some of us are together, at least someone will have a communicator, right?
I'll go to the front door with Valentine. I've got the charm.
Just
Wait,
like
what
old
is good?
times.
Miller is gonna try to acrobatic on the
Yeah,
roof,
like old
I
times.
guess.
Are you taking Tuxel's communicator?
Oops.
I think
For Miller now. Because Chuck, you're going with Valentine. You have a communicator.
Yeah.
Tuxel,
I'll go with
That
Miller.
way.
you're going
Miller and
with
I'll head to
Miller.
the roof.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So, Tuxel and Miller. Tuxel, I assume you're going to try and fly up there, right?
Mhm.
Miller, you can make your acrobatics check. We're going to dive into Valentine and Chuck first.
Plus a 27.
Yeah, easy peasy, parkour, monk shit, no hassle. No, it's even quiet, which you wouldn't expect on these tiled shingles. It's It's quite a wonderful display. Tuxel, you don't have that problem because you're flying.
I don't know how he beat me up here either. It's weird.
It's crazy. But Valentine and Chuck, you begin to make your way to the front door. All right. And
Be polite.
all right. So Valentine, you're going to knock. Okay. You go to rap on the door to have a knock, and you have one knock, and on the second one you actually feel that the door isn't locked, and it sort of swings in with the not very heavy force of your knock. And there's a little ding-a-ling-ling, like they have a bell, a welcome in bell. And as you and Chuck look into the open hut, we're going to call our game here for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining Thala Unbound, and it's a very fun episode. And please tune in tomorrow for our charity streams to help raise money for the New York Wolf Conservation Organization. And yeah, thank you all so much. We love you very much. Bye bye.